Some claim that quantum mechanics shows that our brains are powerful and it is the brain that creates our world. Let's take a look at quantum mechanics. I've heard that Richard Feynman is the second most famous physicist, and he stated that all of quantum mechanics can be gleaned from the two-slit experiment. So let's look at the two-slit experiment. We're trying to determine whether light is a particle or a wave. A photon is the basic quantity of light. Imagine a child throwing photons against a wall with two slits. The child is throwing wildly. Those that go straight through the center of the slit will hit the detector, represented by the back line to the far right. Some will get through the slit after bouncing off the sides of the slit. They are deflected as they go through the slit. We get fewer deflections, and the deflections are randomly distributed. When plotting the frequency of hits on the detector, we get a normal bell-shaped distribution as depicted by the curve. The high spot represents the most often hit. So let me go through it here. Here are photons going through, and if they go straight through, they hit here in the center, represented by this high spot, which is the most frequently hit. If they are deflected off the edges, they hit out here, and these are less often hit. And of course, the ones that hit out here are blocked. Now, if that slit's blocked and the other's open, we see the same distribution at a different spot. And if we open both slits, we expect to find a distribution pattern that combines both of the previous distribution patterns, if the photons are particles. So as you might imagine here, here's one distribution pattern, here's the other distribution pattern, and if you add them both together, it comes out to something that's going to look like this one for the total. So right here, where not as many were hitting, it's combined. You're combining these that are hitting with these that are hitting, and added together, they come out higher up here. Now, here we see a wave going through the slit, and we see a distribution pattern similar to the particle, kind of a normal distribution. And when the other slit is open, we again see a normal distribution. But what would happen if both slits are open? We get a pattern of interference, like this. The waves from one slit interfere with the waves from the other. Here's a simple example. In the first, the waves are exactly opposite. So if you combine this red wave with this blue wave, they cancel each other out and you get nothing. But if you combine the red wave with the blue wave here, or the black wave, whatever that is, you get this wave here. It's even higher. They add together. So if you add multiple waves that are out of phase or in phase, you're going to get something between adding together and canceling out. And that's why you get that interference pattern. Now, what would happen if we send one photon through the slit? Do you think we'll get the distribution pattern like this, or will we see an interference? Well, it turns out it all depends on the observer. If we don't observe, we get this. If we see it go through the bottom or the top, we get this. If we see it go through the bottom, we get this. The active measurement affects the outcome, and it's said to collapse the wave function. Now, according to the quantum mechanics I just described, the universe is not determined. However, we are left with a probability function that collapses when we observe it. Our observation seems to change, but not control the outcome. So that knowledge indicates that the universe is not determined. However, it does not put you or me in a position of control. The experiment did not show that we can guide the photon through a slit or guide it onto the detector plate. But what if we could? How would we explain it? If what exists is an energy field that leads to particles when observed, it's still just the Big Bang Theory. If we believe in monism and maintain the time arrow, then our minds are an emergent, meaning came after, property of the brain. Remember that something that is caused by something else is an effect, and effects cannot turn around and change the cause. If your brain causes your mind, then your mind cannot affect your brain. So that's what I've got here in this slide. Monism with a time arrow does not give us a way to control our environment at the quantum level. Now, dualism does give us that ability. If the mind or soul is a separate substance that can direct the energy field, then we can have control. We can have free will if we are using that part of ourselves. So we'll be working with the idea of dualism. Part of what you and I are can affect the energy field, and part of us is just the energy field. We have two parts, duality.